Good morning. I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. I want to welcome you to today's presentation, which I have entitled, Are You Caught in the Great Meltdown? Recently, I just was reading a book by my business coach, Dan Sullivan, at the Strategic Coach organization, and it's entitled The Great Meltdown. In it, Dan talks about the word Great Meltdown is based on the word melt, M-E-L-T, which really stands for an acronym for money, energy, labor, and transport. And the point that he's trying to make in his book is that the combined impact of these four factors, money, energy, labor, and transport, can lead to either economic growth or it can lead to the financial decline and collapse even in an extreme circumstance. So if the melt costs, the MELT costs are going up, the problem is that progress typically is going down, going backward. So if the melt factors are increasing, and I believe that they all are currently in our society, in our economy, I will ask you one question. What's your plan? What's your plan for overcoming these increases in the cost of money, energy, labor, and transport? So let's talk about them one at a time. How about on the money front? Borrowing from banks is becoming more and more challenging. They're more concerned, they're skeptical about the economy perhaps, and in certain segments of the industries, they are concerned about whether there's a long-term future there, and they want to get repaid, of course, which is not unreasonable on their part. But something that can perhaps help you is think about borrowing, with it being more challenging. How about if we transition some short-term debt onto long-term debt? Are there assets that you can capitalize on and borrow against, such as additional real estate? This will help you to get through this high melt cost by improving your cash flow. And the way it does that is it'll lengthen the amortization period to 20 or 25 years, as opposed to perhaps 5 years or 7 years or even 12 months. It'll increase the amortization, and as a result, your payment per month will go down. It's not a permanent fix necessarily, but it certainly is in the short term as we go through this high level of money cost, and with interest rates the way they are especially. Now, you don't necessarily need to lock in or fix the interest rate, because I expect over time they will come down at some point, but they're pretty high right now, and they've come down a little bit, but I think they're still going to stay up for a while. Our second factor, energy. Is it more expensive? Has anyone been to the gas pump in the last 2, 3, 4 years? It is definitely higher, and it's a direct result of several factors. Number one, government oil restrictions has been a factor, of course, and also the transition to green energy. This is a costly process, and I'm not saying it's not worth doing. It probably is in the long term, but it's very costly in the short term, and the people that are making the policies around this green energy transition do not necessarily have the business sense that you have or that I have, and how it impacts our economy directly. So we get some, not necessarily direct, but possibly indirect implications that are a setback for businesses like yours and mine. The third factor, labor. This has definitely been going up in cost. I don't need to tell you folks that, because you know very well if you're running a business of any sort. But how about productivity? If the cost per hour, which is unlikely to drop anytime soon, is going up, but your productivity is not increasing, that generates a real problem. A real productivity problem, a real profitability problem, because we're putting in more money, but we're getting less return per unit of time or per hour, however you want to measure it. And finally, the fourth melt factor, the transport. This has clearly gone up in cost, due primarily to the rising costs of energy and labor, but maybe also due to the money cost. If you're borrowing money, or if the trucking company is borrowing money to buy their trucks or leasing them at a higher interest rate, their costs have gone up too. I want to leave you with one question. What's your plan for these four items? Money, energy, labor, and transport. I think it's worth thinking about, but what's your plan? Mine revolves around four items. And you've heard me say this before. If you measure something, you can understand it. If you understand it, you can control it. And if you can control it, you can make improvement in that area. And I think that's true for every cost, whether it's money, energy, labor, or transport, or any other expenses you have in your business. And if you need assistance with that, I am here to help. I think it's imperative that we focus on measuring it, because that's the only way we get to understand things and learn to take greater control over those costs of operation, and then make the improvement wherever and whenever we can. In the words of Winston Churchill, and I quote, "Let our advanced worrying become advanced thinking and planning." End of quote. I think that's great advice for us today. Rather than stressing over the higher costs of money, energy, labor, and transport, let's be proactive and do something about it. I wish you the best of success this year, and I want to thank you for listening today. I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. Thank you very much.